Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Mortenax Blade of course did just recently release. We already did a showcase of M-Blade alongside Ashveil, but what we have not done yet is test out one of his most popular teams, as well as one of the teams I was waiting for the most. That of course is Blade alongside Blade, the double Blade team. We're going to be running it on the first half alongside Tribbie and Hyacine. Then on the second half, we're going to go ahead and run Ashveil plus M-Blade, as well as, of course, ACHERON and Hyacine. I did test more teams than just these. These will be the only two that I show, but I did test out more, and we will discuss a few more. Mainly, I did swap Tribbie for Ashveil in the Blade team, and then I also tried both Jiaoqiu as well as Silverwolf instead of Ashveil in the M-Blade team, which we will discuss during the runs / in the outro. Although I will also say that we will be testing both of these on the first half, although I did also do a second half run with ACHERON against the Pom-Pom boss, which is quite Elation Shield, but we did manage to clear it in 5 cycles, so wait and see how we go ahead and clear the first half with ACHERON, but we're gonna start off with Bladey. Real quick, all limited units here are E0S0. The only one with E1 is his Blade, which I got from losing a 50-50 to Ashveil. Alright then, well, when it comes to our first half team with our Blade team, let's go ahead and use our Hyacine, who will of course be buffing both Blade and M-Blade, and so will Tribbie, of course. Moving swiftly on notes, you did not see that. I have never had that happen to me. That is incredibly embarrassing. Anyway, I went ahead and used Blade's technique because we should get hit from these enemies anyway, so I don't think we really need Mortenax's technique here, because we're just gonna go ahead and basic attack, and then we'll get our ult at the same as we would anyway, I think. Although maybe I'm wrong, I'm not sure. Anyway, okay, like I said, gonna go ahead and basic attack here, and then also gonna go ahead and pop Tribbie ult just so that we can get the DDD for our Mortenax Blade, because we want him to act a bit more during his ult turns, just so that we can make sure he gets his next ultimate. But I didn't want to waste a Blade follow-up as well as basic as well as ult without having Tribbie. By the way, this is our stats. I wish that I would have had a E2 Blade, just so that I could get 100% correct without having to tank my build. I could prioritize the 100% correct, but I don't really want to because it would kinda kill our build. So yeah. But yeah, that's why when I was playing for M-Blade, I was really saying I would not mind getting E2 Blade, because I think E2 Blade would make this team actually a bit more viable for us as well, which is, you know, I would love to run both Blades in more than just this MOC. It would be an absolute dream. Anyway though, also our last time we ran Mortenax Blade with Ashveil, he was on more of a DPS build. This time he's on more of a supportive build. We have him on tutorial instead of Boundless Choreo this time, so yeah, just bear that in mind. So yeah, I feel like we definitely could go. We could clear quicker if we leaned more into M-Blade's DPSing, especially when we ran Ashveil instead of Tribbie. If I had fully leaned into DPS Mortenax, then I feel like I would have cleared quicker than the clear that we will get. But like I said, we don't want this to just be Blade getting carried by Mortenax. We want this to be both of them contributing damage. Our Blade is hitting for solid damage. We are gonna go ahead and focus the warrior fella here. So yeah, let's go ahead and ult him. I mean, we're taunted by him anyway, so we can only go for him either way. Anyway, does not matter. Let's go ahead and pop the we will go ahead and launch our follow-up skill on Mortenax. Go ahead and use our ult. Nice 539k. We'll definitely go ahead and take it. Obviously not as much damage as he does in an Ashveil team, but we'll still take it either way, because, you know, we are basically just removing his buff from him. Okay, cool. 900k from the memory turbines, will take it. I was thinking of maybe ulting on our Hyacine there just to get more counts of it, but we should clear in 1 cycle anyway, so I don't think it's necessary. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and ult on Hyacine's turn, so that it kind of counts as a turn extension. And then, because we're not long, I'm going to go ahead and basic attack, because if we basic attack, we basically get 2 M-Blade charges, which is huge. Hyacine feels really good to play with Mortenax Blade, because obviously not only does he deal more damage thanks to the HP increase, she also charges up his follow-up really quick as well, which is really convenient. You can say the same thing for Tribbie's follow-up attacks as well. So yeah, okay, there we go. First half cleared, not a 0 cycle, but we will go ahead and take a 1 cycle. I don't think we're getting a 0 cycle with E1 Blade and E0S0 Mortenax, but anyway, we will, like I said, we're gonna go ahead and select our blade. Of course, like I said, it would be better if we selected our M blade, you know, make him deal more damage as well as get his follow-ups more. So also, if he was getting hit more, then we could swap to the Boundless Choreo build instead of the tutorial build. But like I said, we don't just want blade to get carried here. We will just say that our blade could perform better if we focused more on our Mortenax, but no, we want to focus on the OG right now because, like I said, I don't want him to get carried. But yeah, man, Mortenax is just by far my favorite unit in the entire game right now. Like I said, you can run him as a main DPS, you can run him as a sub DPS. Either way, he will still feel absolutely incredible to play. It's just I love it so much. It's he's way too fun. He's way too fun. Anyway, let me stop with the glaze for a little bit. Let's go ahead and repop our ultimate as well. We are currently on Hyacine's turn, so let's go ahead and thingy for her as well. We're gonna wait for the DDD until after our Mortenax's turn. We're gonna do, let's see how much. Okay, we do 187k on the follow-up. Like I said, we're nowhere near as much damage as in the Ashveil team, especially because we're not selecting him to be the main focus. Both not only in terms of build, but also obviously when Sam does the thing of, oh, pick which ally will blah blah blah. We of course picked Lady. But anyway, enough waffling about that. I just want to focus on the team play. Also, I do want to say it does feel really full circle that of course this is a Blade channel, but also I started it like when HSR released. We're just following the 3-year anniversary. We hit 2k subs, which is insane to think about. Of course, our most viewed video, which kind of set us off on the journey, was when I was back in Pentaconi when I wanted to see how strong Blade still is. That got 20k views in my only ever vid to hit 20k views, which is crazy. Then I think recently one of our tier lists, I think it was our 3.7 main DPS tier list, was the second ever video I think to get over 10k. The third most populated video for about 2 years was us pulling Blade on his rerun for our ult account. We pulled both Blade and Ron May for that. So yeah, it just feels really full circle that by the time Blade releases, we've managed to go ahead and hit 2k, as well as of course be on her for 3 years. So of course, thank you for all the support and stuff. And like I said, I'm just really happy to get to use Blade in some shape and form again. Actually, I'm even getting to use both of them together. It just feels insane. I am so happy. You know, I have a Blade desk pad. My keyboard is sitting on Blade's face right now. I have it pushed a bit forward so that I could have my mic closer to me, because I don't have a mic arm. I only have the small mic stand that it came with. So yeah, I don't know if I mentioned having a Blade desk mat before. I feel like I definitely have, but yeah, okay, anyway, in single target, our Blade is doing 330k with his basic attacks. The regular skill for Mortenax is doing 200k. Let's go ahead and pop our stuff here, which will give us another enhanced skill, which should, another skill follow-up, which will deal nearly 200k, and we have our ult again, so that as soon as his ult ends, we can refresh it, like so. Perfection, right on cue, who would have thunk it? Okay, anyway. Once again, basic attack 330k, ult will deal, let's see, 557k, that's nice. Of course, like I said, E1 is helping our damage. Of course, he does have a 4 times vulnerability right now. Well, not 4 times, he has 4 stacks of vulnerability right now. So do keep that in mind when discussing the damage. I'm also curious to see how much our follow-up will do. Actually, never mind, because he's going to go ahead and spawn the enemies right back in. So let's go ahead and target our Blade again, like I said. We are the Nemesis state. There we go. So, yeah, that's our goal here. Okay, in AoE, how much is our follow-up going to do? 500k. We like to see it. We like to see it. But yeah, Blade E1, very, very useful for taking out bosses. In Pure Fiction, I don't think it's really needed, but in anything that isn't Pure Fiction, then it's definitely very, very nice. The overall team I am running is, of course, the Ashveil Blade Mortenax team. Since I did want to discuss the Ashveil variant of the team, I will say I definitely see more potential in that team than I do in the Blade team. If you replace Tribbie with Ashveil, you know, Blade will still get decent buffs, that's for sure, but it's of course Mortenax who benefits more from the buffs. So I'd say you want to run Mortenax on more of a DPS build, and then if there's any enemy mechanics like this salmon right here, then of course you want to target Mortenax with it. So yeah, but like I said, that team, like I said, it feels a bit wheelchairy. Although the thing is, because I didn't play into the Mortenax strength, I did not switch his build, and I also kept targeting regular blade with the Nemesis state. We're gonna end up clearing in the same speed. So yeah, it makes no difference. I did test all of these teams beforehand before doing these showcases. So yeah, I will say Ashveil team felt slightly stronger, but that the results were the same. The results would be better if we focused more on Mortenax, but because we didn't, we might as well run the Tribbie team, because otherwise it's just kind of wasted potential. But yeah, if you do want to run Blade, but you don't care about him getting wheelchaired, then go ahead and swap Tribbie out for Ashveil, and then against Sam, go ahead and put him in the Nemesis state. When it's not Sam, if it's a boss which you don't have to interact with, then maybe the Tribbie variant is better than the Ashveil variant. I'm not sure. You guys can test that for yourself. Just run both, or if one of them's on your other half, then just run whichever is free. That also works. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. We will be clearing up here slowly. I don't think we're gonna go ahead and clear in this cycle as much as I would like to. Go ahead and use the ultimate here. Shouldn't be risky whatsoever. 623k. Does that take out some of the stings? Okay, it takes out 1, 2, 3, and okay, that will be all of them. Perfect. The problem is I don't think we have the means to deal 14% of Sam's HP. Maybe there are some misplays I did in order to get the 5 cycles. I can't recall them off the top of my head. I've been too busy yapping about way too much stuff. So yeah, I'm sure with better RNG and luck, you can get 5 cycles, although I personally got 6 cycles right now. Like I said, there is definitely a world in which you can get 5, because let's see, how much health is Sam going to be left on? 4%. I definitely could have covered in 5, I just didn't this run. But yeah, there you go, there you have it. Blade, Tribbie, Mortenax Blade will clear in between 5 to 6 cycles in this current MLC, assuming you have E1 Blade. But with that being said, let's hop into the ACHERON run now. Alright then, and here we are with our ACHERON team once again on the first lap. Go ahead and use our Ashveil technique, and we will be starting with our ACHERON technique instead of our M-Blade. Actually no, I can just say Blade, we don't have 2 blades on the same team anymore. But yeah, because we should get our ultimate after just 1 basic attack, because these enemy attacks are quite AoE, although if the enemy attacks aren't AoE, then I will probably start off with Blade's technique instead of ACHERON's technique. Anyway, let's go ahead and use our Blade helmet. But yeah, there's definitely more stuff to discuss this time around than the Blade run, because Blade run, your teammate options were either Ashveil or Tribbie, whereas this time around we will definitely be discussing more about the Silverwolf team as well as the Jiaocho team. I don't have Cypher, but any Cypher, I think Ashveil is still the best option, although I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that. Anyway, into 2 targets, let's see how much our ACHERON ult is going to be doing. The answer is 600k. I don't think I've seen that number for a long time from our ACHERON. Anyway, we skill and then go ahead and pop the ult on the fishy with our Ashveil. I wonder if we're going to be able to do it before they spawn in their summons and get resistances. Never mind. We will not be able to. Okay, that's unfortunate. But anyway, when it comes to discussing team variants, actually, wait, we should get 2 ults here. So actually, I just want to check the damage out real quick, or rather discuss the damage real quick. Go ahead and pop the ACHERON ultimate. We will be dealing, let's see, first of all, oh yeah, by the way, first of all, our stats, 90 crit, 260 crit damage. Unfortunately, don't have 100% crit, but it is what it is. We of course don't have the 999 health debuff, but Mortenax will give us our buffs. Also, we have 70% death shred, 50% vulnerability, and then, like I said, we also have the 75% ultimate damage increase from a Blade. So yeah, anyway, once the fish is done its thing, we are now down to doing 500k into these 4 targets, and then Blade is doing 143k. But once the resistances go down, we will be seeing higher damage numbers again. I also can't wait to see them in AoE, or for Ashveil in second target without any resistances or without any artificial resistances. But anyway, we're about to get both of our ultimates again, which, by the way, the ultimates on this team are just absolutely insane. You get Mortenaxes as well as Acheron's up just like every so often. We are also once again on the supportive Blade build. We are not running the balanced choreo build. We are still running the tutorial build. But anyway, enough yapping from me. Well, not enough yapping. Enough yapping on what's going on in front of us. Instead, let's go ahead and talk about team options. Like I said, I don't have Cypher, so I was only able to test out Silverwolf as well as what's his name again? Silverwolf as well as Jiacho. I can't believe I forgot Jiacho's name. I love Jiacho. It feels criminal that I've done that. I will say I definitely do hope that Jiacho goes ahead and gets a Nova Flare, because I really like running them together, but now I currently cannot. Also, one thing we do want to make sure is that we do have the stacks going up in the variance of 3, but I think that, okay, never mind, we messed it up. I think we have 5 and 4 on the enemies, but anyway, doesn't matter. Like I was saying, I will say I do think more people have Jiacho and Silverwolf instead of Cypher, because, you know, Cypher came out a bit later when Acheron already fell off. I'm pretty sure most people knew that she was kind of Cypher wasn't really safer, so I feel like more people have Silverwolf because obviously you can lose the 50 to her, and then also Jiacho was the original Acheron support, so I feel like a lot of Acheron mains pulled for him then, although maybe I'm mistaken, I'm not sure. Do we get our... okay, we do zero cycle the first off here, which is nice. That is actually going to be quicker than the Blade team. Then again, we do have, I'd say, the synergies between this team are stronger than they are in the Blade team, especially because in the Blade team we do have both our Blades contesting over who wants to get hit. But anyway, besides the point, so when it comes to Silverwolf as well as Jiacho, when it comes to how clear I managed to clear, both of them managed to clear in 6 cycles. I will say Silverwolf was closer to 5 cycles. I'd say both of them are 5 to 6 cycles, similar to how Blade, I'd say, was basically the same when we did that clear. I do think that both Acheron with just Mortenax Blade as well as Jiacho or Silverwolf is a 5 to 6 clear. I personally got 6 cycles, Silverwolf was closer to 5, so I'd say Silverwolf slightly stronger than Jiacho thanks to her Nova Flare. Also because Mortenax, the main thing that made Jiacho so good was because he made stacking Acheron's ultimate way quicker, but now that Mortenax basically does the same thing, I don't think Jiacho's as needed, and that's why, you know, Jiacho kind of prioritized stacking over just debuffing. But it turns out that now that's aged kind of poorly, so I'd actually prioritize Silverwolf slightly over Jiacho. Hopefully he gets another flare though, where he gets way more debuffs in his kit and then becomes the best second slot. I'd much rather that than run Ashveil. Not because I think it's bad, just because I feel like, you know, this team feels very wheelchairy. So yeah. Anyway, when it comes to the damage we're gonna do, we're doing 92k. We're doing about 100k right now with our skill in AoE. Go ahead and pop the ultimate there for our Blade. Sorry, the first ultimate on Blade. Also, when it comes to our Acheron damage in AoE right now, we dealt 1.2 million, which who thought Acheron would be doing a million plus damage in 2026, mid 2026 as well. Like the 2 anniversaries later, it's kind of crazy to think about. My Acheron didn't even used to deal this damage back in the day, although of course her clears were quicker back in the day because not as much HP inflation. But anyway, yeah, this stuff is absolutely insane. We go ahead and get another Acheron ult already. So yeah, this team, crazy stuff. Nearly 1.4 million damage this time around. We're also very close to getting our Blade ultimate as well. So yeah, we're clearing the stings incredibly quickly. Now we get to go ahead and see our ultimates into single target. Acheron's just okay. We keep getting stacks as well from these enemies blowing up as well. It's incredible. So yeah, like I said, Silverwolf as well as Jiacho, you're looking at 5 to 6 cycles. Silverwolf slightly stronger, but I will say instead of running the 2 Nihility teammate requirement for Acheron, you are just better off running Ashveil, because his buffs as well as debuffs, I'd say, are more potent, and then also the synergy he has with Mortenax Blade is incredible. So yeah, anyway, 600k there on the Acheron ultimate, 200k there on the Blade skills. I forgot how much his ultimate did in single target, but either way, also let's see how much our Ashveil is going to go ahead and do. Ult goes for 180k, and then plus the full-ups another 360k, so that's 540k there. And we can go ahead and pop another Acheron ult for, let's see how much, 625k. I will say I do think we missed some crits on the Dark Sam boss. Of course, we want to get we don't have 100% crit on our Ashveil. We need him to get under 50% HP in order to deal guaranteed crits. Unfortunately, we can't go ahead and use our Mortenax technique ultimate here, so instead we're just gonna have to use it to refresh all of our debuffs. But yeah, like I said, man, this team just feels insane. We are still in the 28th cycle, so right now we are 2 cycling. We are on track for a 3 cycle. So yeah, 3 cycle versus 5 to 6 cycles. If you had any doubts about what is stronger, Ashveil is definitely stronger than the double nihility options, especially if you have E2, which kind of feels like a slap in the face for Acheron's passive. I feel like maybe they should just rework it. If Acheron were to get a Nova Flare, also in the past I said Acheron needs a Nova Flare. Seeing how OP Mortenax is, I don't think Acheron needs a Nova Flare. I think Jiaocho needs a Nova Flare, and then you make Jiaocho the best in slot in this team, or maybe they give Acheron a Nova Flare and just make her E2 base kit or something. I'm not sure. Don't let me cook with character ideas, because I love Acheron and I will make an OP Acheron. But yeah, the reason why I picked both Acheron as well as Blade is not only is Blade my personal favorite and then Acheron the most popular right now, which isn't Mortenax's main DPS team. Acheron is also one of my all-time favorite units as well in the game. She is the reason why I started clearing endgame. 2.1 was the first time I cleared MOC 12 for the first time. I cleared MOC 10 back when that was the highest thing, but then when MOC 12 came out, I was not able to clear it. But luckily, we got Acheron around the time of the anniversary, and ever since then, I have managed to play 6-star every single Memory of Chaos, which, you know, is great. I've also cleared 90% of all of Pure Fictions, as well as Epic Shadows. The only times I don't clear are when, like, I'm saving for the new region and I haven't pulled a new unit in a while, and then the HP inflation always hits around the 0.7 or 0.8 of the version. So yeah, those are the only teams where I didn't fully clear every single endgame mode. Other than that, fully clearing endgame modes, all thanks to Acheron. So I am very happy to see that she's viable again. I thought she was going to go ahead and get a bigger buff in Amphoris, because I thought, oh, there's no way they let Acheron die. Never mind, they basically did let her die for a while. But then, hey, who comes? My favorite character comes to go ahead and save one of my favorite characters, which I guess I love to see. Anyway, let's see how much damage our Emblade does. 500k on the ultimate in AoE, that's nice. We just need them to contribute more AoE damage right now in order to take out the stings. And then Ashveil will be doing all the single target damage, which, by the way, can I just say, this team feels so great, because obviously Acheron will deal both AoE as well as single target damage, whilst Mortenax will deal, he does decent damage in single target, but also he does mainly AoE damage. Meanwhile, our Ashveil is doing a lot of work in single target. So yeah, it just feels like this team meshes together perfectly, besides how all of the buffs are working as well, where, you know, both Emblade and Ashveil are buffing each other, and then they're also both buffing Acheron, although then again, Ashveil isn't buffing as much, but then again, the 40% defense shred is also very useful, and also the, I'm forgetting what I was going to say, doesn't matter because we are about to clear. Anyway, let's go ahead and pop the Acheron ult before our Blade ultimate runs out. Let's go ahead and do this the old style. Once again, looking at our stats, 90, 273, don't know where the extra damage came from. I think it's from the memory turbulence, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, look at all these debuffs, look at all those buffs we had on our Acheron. No need to fulfill her passive anymore. Even at E0, just go ahead and run Mortenax and Ashveil for the OPs thingy. Okay, anyway, I think we missed a bit of crits there, but it's fine. Let's see, 1% and 0% HP left, 580k damage dealt, and there you go. We cleared in 3 cycles with Acheron in the big 2026 with a full E0S0 team. Who thought a full E0S0 Acheron team would be clearing in 3 cycles against one of the more annoying bosses as well? Crazy stuff to think about. But yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the character builds and outro, as well as final thoughts on the teams. Alright, well then, I am very happy with both clears. Of course, the Acheron Ashveil Mortenax one was by far the strongest one. We definitely also could have gotten a quicker clear with Blade alongside Ashveil, and if we ran Ashveil and then also focused more on buffing Mortenax during with the Nemesis state. But like I said, I didn't want it to feel like too much of a wheelchair, and also I didn't want to run both teams at this. I didn't want to have basically the 2 exact same teams just swapping out the main DPS, so I wanted to make it a little bit different. When it comes to which one is stronger for Blade in AoE, I'd probably still stick to the Tribbie Blade as well as Mortenax one, whereas if you're in more single target, then I'd definitely swap it out for Ashveil. And then in this MOC specifically, I do think Ashveil, like I said, Ashveil is stronger, and then also but Mortenax in the Nemesis state. So yeah, that's my thoughts for the Blade team, but either way, I'm still very happy with the performance at E1. At E0, probably not worth running if your full team is E0S0, but then if you have some idons, then you can probably once again get away with it. And then also when it comes to Acheron, I do think that all the time you basically want to go for Ashveil, Mortenax, as well as Acheron herself, Acheron, Ashveil, and Blade. Acheron and Ashveil, sometimes I just forget which one I already said, just because the names are not similar, but, you know, both on A, so I just forget a bit. But anyway, Maybe in AoE you can get away with someone like a Jiao, but I'd still probably just stick to the Ashveil variant, although maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm mistaken, maybe it's just really strong. You're looking at at least a 2-cycle discrepancy, maybe even a 3-cycle discrepancy, so definitely just go for the Ashveil instead of having the 2 9-healthy teammates. But anyway, those are my final thoughts when it comes to our character build, starting off with Blade. Actually no, let's start off with Mortenax. 5.2k HP, 138 speed, 81 crit, which becomes 100% battle, 102 crit damage as well, which will become nearly 200 without our Ashveil, and then I think definitely over 200 with Ashveil. I don't think we quite hit 200 without him, without his small crit damage buff. We do have one tutorial as well. I will say the relics here suck. My other build when I run Bandit's Choreo, I'd say is probably stronger. These crit rolls are nearly non-existent, so yeah, just bear that in mind. The performance could definitely be improved a decent bit if we had better relics on our Mortenax, but hey, at least he's not the main DPS, so it doesn't matter quite as much. When it comes to our, actually let's run through, you know what, let's just go through whoever comes up first. Blade, 6.2k HP, 145 speed, sending crit rate will be 86 in battle. If we had his ET, that would be 100%, but oh well. 143 crit damage. We do also have this Ninja Record Lycon, just because so often we're at full HP, I'd rather use this than Goodnight Sleep Well. Traces, maxed out. Relics, on the same build I would run normally if I had him alongside Sunday Tribbie, but now, of course, we do have Mortenax for that, and Sunday loses another teammate on my account. Rest in peace, Sunday. Eidolon's, like I said, E1. Tribbie, 5.5k HP. You know, I'm not sure she does the most damage in this team. I'm sure she does a little bit, but you know, either way, S5 Dance, Relics, Poet set, leftover pieces from Caster's, Bone set as well. Similar, same main pieces as our Mortenax there. Actually, E0, like I said, would be very strong if we had E1 Tribbie here, or an E1 Mortenax. 5k HP on Hyacine, 200 speed threshold, nearly 100% crit damage for a nice damage as well. But anyway, like I said, yeah, these two probably aren't doing as much damage as they would in Mono Rem. S5 has a Store Lightcon. Relics were a goddess to give both our Mortenax as well as our regular Blade more crit damage. Anyway, hopping onto the Acheron side of things, Acheron herself, 107 speed, 74% crit rate before battle. In battle, this will become 90%. And then also, we do have 156 crit damage as well, which will become over 200%, 3.6k attack too. S4 of Goodnight Sleep Well, Traces, mostly maxed out, just missing a bit on the skill, and then basic is unleveled because we don't want to be using the basic. Okay piece here, solid piece here, okay piece once again, and then boots are pretty solid as well. Would be nice if we had a bit of crit rate, but oh well, beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. Solid piece here, but then our link rope isn't the best, but oh well, what can we really do? Eidolons as well, E0, and then when it comes to our Ashveil, 2.3k attack, 149 speed, 85% crit rate, which will become 100% once the enemy is 50% HP or lower, and then 161 crit damage as well. Traces maxed, and then also relics, solid piece here, solid piece here, okay piece here, not the best, and then solid piece here as well, and then our playlist definitely could use some work, but oh well, we'll take it for the time being. Oh, okay, never mind, our Mortenax, actually never mind, yeah, without Ashveil, I think our Mortenax is 190 crit damage. With him, I think he's at like 230, I think, if I recall correctly. I don't fully remember. Anyway, E0 as well. So yeah, that's it for our teammates. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you've run some of these teams and what teams you're running, also how you found them. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time, and next time we will be running a lot more teams as well. We'll be trying the Caster's team, the Facial team, even a Dr. Ratio team, which is the one I'm most excited to showcase. So yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. See ya.